Okay, so let's talk a little bit about conducting remote research. To be honest, I have not prepared any answers for you guys. So I want this section to be very interactive where we will talk. You guys tell me, like, I have a few questions here. You guys can pick questions. You guys can tell me, like, what else would you like to know about remote research? I know it's hard at this point. We don't have the luxury of going on field, meeting and talking to users, but yeah, it's over to you guys. What do you want to know about remote research? Anyone?
So if does Heena's come up with some of these, questions here. Just feel free to come off mute and be like, okay, I wanna know more about this, or how do we do this part? Or if you have more questions, more ideas other than this as well.
Yeah, I think we can read these questions that the users would have to read all
Sure.
these options. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this, like I'll talk about the first one, which is very close to me. My user is distracted. How do I get their attention? We know that everyone is working from home right now, and you have your user, like, you're interviewing a user and then their child comes in and then their cat comes in. So
Yeah.
all of those things happen and it's very normal. So you have
Yeah.
to be comfortable with that. First thing that you can take care of, make sure that you are giving choices, like, your respondents has choices, like you give them a time slot that where maybe like a few time slots to select from when they are comfortable talking to you. You can make sure that that's the time when they can, when their kids are not around, so that they can have an uninterrupted session. So one thing that you can make sure there. And even if those things happen, you just, like, what I do is, like, at the beginning of this session I told you that my housemates are home, we all are working from home, so you might hear some noises. It's normal, it's perfectly okay. So you can just be upfront, don't feel hesitant, you don't have to be perfect, it's okay. So the more comfortable you will be what's going on, the better it is. If your user is like too distracted, few things that I try to do is, I've started doing, like, imagine we are doing an interview and we are talking and talking and sorry, let me show you something. um, what I do in my research. Radhika, one second, I'm trying to take this presentation.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, great. Here. So you know how I prepared this slide for you guys? This I do now for every interview that I do remotely. I write clearly my agenda of talking to my user like this. I tell them exactly what I will be talking to them about. I greet them also like this. So because, like, when you're talking to them, they might catch some things, they might not, especially when you're doing task with a user. Like, you want your user to do a particular usability task. Maybe you're speaking and they might miss out. So like, what you can do it, you just write it down on a slide. Okay, so I want you to do a few tasks, task one, and then you write the description. This way, your user is not like constantly looking at and talking to you. They have some visuals to look at, and that will keep them less distracted. So that's what I feel. Any other? Okay, let me go back here.
Yeah, does
All right. Anyone has any other
Abhinav,
question?
yeah.
Hello.
The evening music is coming up now. All right. So
Hello.
Abhinav, do you have a question?
I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Uh, I want to ask, like, what was the your ultimate goal about this project? I may have missed the point.
okay. So we were trying to design a curriculum for farmers to encourage the adoption of certain responsible farming practices. So what was happening that some good farming practices exist. Farmers have been told about them. They have been given all tools to implement them, but they were not implementing it. So our job was to really understand that what is going wrong? Where is the gap? Do farmers not understand these practices? If you ask someone, people say, oh, they don't understand. But maybe they understand and there is some other gap. So we want to find out how we can encourage them, how we can motivate them to really pick up these activities. Like one thing I talked about, one of the blocker was farmer is not clear on how much money they will have to spend. Like imagine you are asked to take up a course and I'm not telling you the money until you are starting your college. You're like, I don't know how much money you will be charging. So you will never take up that course, right? So these are the kind of gaps we wanted to understand, and we added that, we designed our curriculum in a way that all of this information was coming up so that they could go and like that would encourage them to adopt these practices. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So,
Hi.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask a question building up on one of the questions already mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I conduct research when I cannot meet my user in person, especially now that we are all home? And then again, I am a student right now, so I do not have the resources, or my stakeholders are not responsible for my final product or project. So how do I then engage them in a research scenario?
Okay, so one thing that you can what we have been doing that simplest thing is that Zoom and Hangouts, these are free tools you can use. We all have access to Google Drive. I have been creating my presentations there. So when it comes to like what to present and how to talk to them, that barrier can be resolved through through all of these tools. When it comes to recruitment, so what are you recruiting for? You are a student, you said, right?
Not sorry, recruiting. I meant researching only, but I don't have the resources that I can get all my stakeholders in a single room and talk to them or something like that. I need to be after them a little. So
Yeah.
how do you think? Yeah.
So, okay, first thing about the challenge with remote uh, conversations and meeting is you can do a workshop whole day and you keep it interactive and people are not bored. But on in front of a screen, you make someone sit like for 2 hours and they'll be like, oh, I need a whole day break. It is very tiring. So what you need to do is you can start breaking down your activities. One thing that I'm seeing a lot of culture of pre-read. So you don't need to explain everything. Imagine you are doing a meeting, a kickoff meeting and an alignment meeting with your stakeholders. You send them the document, create a document and send them beforehand, like 1 or 2 days before, so that they have read through it. In the meeting that you're doing with them, then you do like ask them to pre-read the document and leave comments and come up with the questions in the meeting. This way you can reduce the time, because now you are not really in a room first giving them a presentation and then people are having conversation. That's a lot to do at these days. So I think that could be one way. When you said that you can't bring all your stakeholders in one room, this is what you can do. You have to do a lot of you have to divide your activities and do a little bit of offline work and online work.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'd like to add to that last part. I think one of the things you can do with that as well is maybe get some information from them beforehand. So you can do like a short survey or like a short, Google form sort of a thing. So you send it to them, ask them like 5, 6 basic questions based on that during your interactive research with them.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. There are some, Dhruv has also put some collaborative tools on the chat. So please have a look at those as well.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah. So out of all of these, Heena, maybe let's talk about one or two more. And
Mm-hmm.
if anyone wants to ask any questions other than these as well, please go ahead.
I
Mm-hmm.
guess yeah, I guess we can talk on the fifth one. So I have actually faced this problem. So I went for some user research, and I started with my interview, and suddenly there was a call for my interviewer, and he was not started not paying attention to what I was saying. So he was maybe it was something related to his work, so he was not that much calm after the call. So yeah, he got distracted. So I think we can talk on this one.
Okay. So to be honest, if your user is not ready to give you feedback, there is no point collecting that feedback. If they're distracted, that's a very natural, situation. You were not expecting it, right? You planned your interview, you went to
Yeah,
meet them, but something happened that upset them. I would say that kind, like, even if you will collect the interview feedback, you will collect the data, it is not going to be unbiased. There will be some, because they were going through certain situation. I would say
yeah,
you should close that interview and not go ahead with it.
yeah.
Yeah. And I have done sometimes interview. I'll share this one example. I was telling you about this first project I did as an East UP, and we realized that we were interviewing women, and we realized that their kids are always around them. Like every one, like the women that they had, there were 2, 3 kids with them. So, and mother-in-law was apprehensive about the daughter-in-law going to a lab and talking to someone. So what we did, within our lab, we created a playroom, and
Okay.
where mother-in-law could sit with the children, so that she could see her daughter-in-law as well. So the
Yeah.
kids were playing in the background, and then I'm sure the recordings of those sessions did not work really well for us, because there was a lot of noise. But then we took detailed notes at that time to make sure that everything is captured. So yeah, these are
Yeah.
real situations. You can't help it.
Yeah, I guess surroundings play a very important role during the
Yeah.
interview. Yeah.
You can control it, but you can't control everything. So you have to be
Yeah.
very comfortable. I'm going on field, the real adventure begins. Things go wrong, and it's fine. It's fine. But you, I personally see every user as a golden opportunity. You try to get what maximum you can get out of them, but like in your situation, you can't, because that person is not in the right phase, like right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay to close that interview.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we have one more question from Rahul. Rahul, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, sure. So, as current scenario is all about remote research, so I was thinking of how do we deal with the not so tech savvy users?
Okay. I would deal with that. Like, I have not honestly come across that kind of situation, but yes, that happens. So, two things you can do. Um, that one, you can see that if you and like your participant is using the right, same method for communication. So, imagine you give your participant that use Zoom. They don't know how to use Zoom. You need to understand what they're comfortable with, maybe with WhatsApp call. So then you go ahead and do a WhatsApp call with them. So you have to decide, like, first of all, maybe if you're showing prototype to them, then you can't use WhatsApp call, like for that kind of interview. Then you go ahead with Zoom, you prepare detailed steps and make sure that your participant is comfortable downloading the app. And then you can maybe do a separate session with them, like a 15 minutes, that can you come in for a 10 a.m. session for like by 9:45. I will help you set up Zoom first, and then we can go ahead with the interview. So you will have to do all of that pre-work because you are seeking their feedback. Does that help?
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Um, I I think Dhruv also has something to add to that. Dhruv, आप बोलना चाहेंगे?
हेलो।
Hi.
ऑडिबल? ओके।
Yeah.
तो
Yeah.
मैं बोल रहा था कि सी एक चीज़ है कि नॉर्मली बहुत सारे लोग नॉन टेकी होते हैं, ठीक है, पर उनके अराउंड कोई ना कोई तो ऐसा ज़रूर होगा जिनको कुछ तो नॉलेज होगा टेक रिलेटेड, नॉर्मली व्हाट्सएप यूज़ करते हैं या किसी भी तरीके का सोशल ऐप यूज़ करते हैं, तो उन्होंने किसी को तो देखा होगा कि भाई कोई ना कोई मोबाइल में कुछ ना कुछ यूज़ करता है। तो आप वो रिकमेंड कर सकते हो कि भाई आप किसी और बंदे को बोलो कि भाई जो भी आपके अराउंड है जिसको थोड़ा टेक का नॉलेज है, तो वो आपको हेल्प करेगा वो टाइम पे जब आपको जो चीज़ उनसे करवानी है। तो आप उनसे वो पूछ सकते हो कि भाई कोई है आपके अराउंड जिसको मतलब कंप्यूटर का नॉलेज हो या कोई टेक का नॉलेज हो, जिस चीज़ के बारे में आप पूछ रहे हो तो उसको आप रिकमेंड कर सकते हो कि भाई आप किसी को पूछ लो कि अगर कोई है जो आपकी हेल्प कर सके, तो आप वो चीज़ एक बार डिस्कस कर सकते हो वो टाइम पे।
Yeah. I mean, yes, Dhruv, that's a good advice, but I would suggest that you keep control of this in your hand. If you know that your participant doesn't like, see, I want to interview you and I'm asking you, can you take someone else's help? That doesn't work always. So you have to make sure that you're giving detailed instructions to your state, to your the participant that you're interviewing, that this is how you can download with the relevant links and ask them to go through it. If you feel that they have not done it yet, you call them beforehand and then you make sure that they have the right setup ready for your interview session. So it's pre-work that you will have to do, because you can't leave it on anyone else.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, usually they're kids. I think,
That
yeah,
helps.
that's a great, you can ask their kids, but yeah, I'm just saying that keep the dependency low, take control, and make sure that because it's your research session, everything is working well before the session starts.
Sure. Thanks for that.
Maybe we'll just have one or two more questions if anybody else has any more questions. And Heena, you can also, just if you have, something to continue with as well, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I did see some people were asking questions on, I mean, we did talk about, building rapport with the user, like what do I ask and how do I break ice between them. I think those are good topics that you want to consider maybe for next time.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe you guys can actually tell us what you want us to further talk about, like what kind of topics you want us to touch on as well, because there are a lot of things that came up through our discussions here as well and through Heena's presentation, So do let us know, and you can just come off mute as well and just ask her about those topics as well, and we can see how we can take it further from here. Yeah, Rahul?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the career opportunities abroad,
study
outside India.
opportunity.
How, not study, probably work opportunities. Yeah, I mean, I could see a transition of your career from India to a different country. So,
Yeah.
any advice? Probably in the coming sessions, also, I wanted to understand about how I could see many Indians moving to some other place and doing work over there. So, some topics of
Mm-hmm.
discussion over that, or how did the transition happen?
Mm-hmm.
That would be
Yeah.
good to know for all the members over here. That's my thought.
Okay. Yeah, Radhika, I think that's a good topic that we can talk about if someone wants to. And it's
Yeah.
not only like jobs abroad, it's like getting into another job.
Exactly. Transition in jobs or even country-wise, those things. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good question. That's a good topic to maybe discuss.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Prasanna, you have written a question. How do you get buy-in for research? When you say buy-in for research, to conduct research or with the insights, like what kind of buy-in you're talking about? You can speak, you don't need to write.
Prasanna, are you there? Okay, maybe Hina just, oh, okay. Yeah, so I think Hina, you wanted more detail on the question, right?
Yeah, I just want to know, like, Prasanna, what do you mean when you say buy-in for research? I'm just trying to understand buy-in to conduct research or buy-in to like really prove like what insights I have to buy-in your talk. In the beginning of the project. Okay. At the beginning of the project. So usually what I do, I'll tell you a very basic thing that what I do is when the product team comes to us and say that they want to these some of the projects that they have for the next quarter in their kitty, we ask them, so okay, what are you building, like what do you know about this, what do you not know about this. Once we understand the gaps that they have in their knowledge to build a particular product, that's how we decide that do we need research and not need research. So to be honest, um, UX research is like entire UX is a very collaborative process. I so far I have not been in a situation where I have to really convince someone that I have to do research. My stakeholders have been, I have actually come up with research projects with them by identifying the gaps in their knowledge and the decisions they are taking. So like I have to see that do they have everything or not. If they're not, then we will see how we want to find that out. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Okay, great, great.
Uh,
Um,
I have
yeah,
a quick question if you have time.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Sure, Kunal.
definitely.
So, when we talk about let's say remote research, and since because of this COVID situation, if we have to let's say do an ethnographic study or like sort of like a contextual inquiry where we have to be in their environment and try to shadow them for maybe let's say 2 hours for in doing some activity. So
Mm-hmm.
do you think is it possible, like what are your thoughts, how could we, is it possible to do it remotely, or if you are aware of any tools or any sort of technique except like diary entry, because I mean diary entry is something different, but then yeah, like any sort of monitoring them if, or I don't know, like how to conduct that kind of study. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I was actually coming to diary studies could be one way to collect that data, but you said that other than that, hmm,
I mean,
Hmm.
diary entry is not sort of like shadowing them. It's sort of like you can ask them to fill a diary. Or yeah, because I'm stuck with because I'm here and I have to conduct a study. So I'm just thinking about some methods that I can sort of
Can I
implement
add?
in remote
Yeah.
study. Yeah.
Can I add to that?
yeah, sure.
What if like, I mean, what if you do like recordings, like ask them to maybe do video recordings or something,
Yeah.
of their day to day or like their tasks that they're doing. That might help as well.
Yeah,
Mm,
it can be Kunal a bit biased, but definitely if you specify, like have specific task and you ask someone like, okay, so today when you're cooking your food, can you record that for me? So then you like if you will keep your task broad and not something specific, what you're trying to exactly looking from it, then maybe your user can get you like, uninterrupted, very simple like recording of that. And that's one way
mm,
maybe for you to analyze because if you will tell them that how do they decide on the spices, that's too specific. You can just tell them, yeah, can you record like your when you cook your breakfast, and that will give you an idea of how they prepare
mm,
their morning.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Radhika,
Yeah.
great
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
Keep it
Hmm.
recorded.
Yeah, or maybe another way you could do it, it might be a bit creepy, but you could actually have like a Zoom call with them and just tell them to keep their phones or laptops there, and they can do that activity that you want them to do, but in a more natural way, and you sort of
Mhm.
observe it. A lot of people might not be okay with that, but you could ask, that could be an option as well. So you're seeing it happening.
I'm wondering how unbiased that would be, and also it's a
Mm,
small. Yeah, like someone is on the call. Imagine like what you are saying that it's like unmoderated, right? Like Zoom call versus recording a video. I think maybe someone
Yeah.
would be more comfortable recording a video than having like someone
mhm.
watching them doing something.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
mean,
true.
that's yeah. So I mean, so because I have to understand their behavioral aspect as well, like how they are feeling while they are doing something. Because for my study, I have emotions as an important criteria to record. So
Mm.
yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, it's okay. I just thought we can just discuss. Maybe we can do it later, like if we can
Sure.
find something.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 Mm,
I just want
Okay.
to add, like, can't we do like when we ask, like, if it is about cooking? So, how, like, what did you cook today in the morning, or if it is about any particular dish? Again, I don't know what the study is about, but I'm just trying to understand if we like if the emotion has to be captured. Like, when did you use the Zoom last time, or when did you use the Hangout last time? What were the difficulties? Can you please explain the process how you did it? So I think while they are explaining the process, most of the emotions and feelings are captured in that manner itself.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
again, it is again very much related to the product of what you are taking about. But it is if it is something like really close to which they use every day, it would be much more easy. But if it is a much more of a remember and recall thing, it would be like little biased, but you will still be able to get what they are doing and how they are feeling while they are using it.
True, true. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we that's so we can generally use I mean normally use diary entry for those kind of uh, techniques for remembering and recalling, where we ask them like, what did you do in the last 1 hour, and how was your 1 hour has been, and like just give a take photos, and we can ask them to upload the photos in the diary entry. So that's one way. But yeah, and we have like set questionnaires for emotions, like to record their emotional
Mm.
responses.
Hmm.
So yeah,
One
but in
indirect, I just thought of it. I actually was doing a project with old people, and I was doing remote research with elderlies, and to actually get into their personal space, their head space, their emotions was quite difficult. So I did like a live transition mapping activity. So you can try doing activities as well to indirectly
Mhm.
have those conversations come out. So you could even ask them, "Oh, when you were cooking, what did you feel, or what color represented how you felt?" Maybe something like that. So maybe they'll say purple, or maybe they'll color purple or something like that. But maybe purple means something else to them. So you could then ask them, "Okay, what does this color represent for you? Why did you draw this color? Why did you pick this color?" So
Mm.
indirectly, it creates that conversation for them to be able to tell you why they did something, and it's more related to that emotional aspect also then.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be possible.
Also in
Yeah. I
diary
really
Uh,
like
study,
the idea
mm,
of doing videos with narrative. That Ankita said
mm.
that maybe we can, like in
Like sort
real,
of like a storytelling.
yeah, it's
Mm,
like I am cooking this. It's so frustrating every time. Like I'm about to cook, my spices are not there. It's
mm.
powerful. That kind of
Yeah.
information like we're giving you. So
Yeah, it
yeah,
could be like an
diaries and
interesting
comes
thing, like how we have sort of like Instagram Reels or Instagram Live feeds or something. So what if we can sort of have like, I mean, I had a friend who was working in this domain where like she was sort of recording multiple, asked them to record multiple videos and sort of like creating a daily life story, including their emotions. So but yeah, that could be
yeah.
an interesting thing. But I don't know if like it's a standard UX practice, like UX research practice to do it. So I was
I
just
mean,
like,
like with COVID, I'm not sure. Like you have to really,
mm,
like in
yeah,
this is the time when you have
innovate.
to new practices. Yeah, like innovate new practices. So
Mm.
the time is such. So it's fine. You try it out. You tell us, and then we will try it out, Kunal.
And I was wondering like how you are conducting user studies nowadays because of COVID
Oh,
thing.
so we are mostly. I think it's also like the stage that we are in. We are doing a lot of foundational interviews. Ethnography, definitely, we are not doing at this point. Yeah, so it's mostly like user interviews, diaries, surveys. Is obviously not a UX research method, but yeah, data collection is happening through these general methods. I want to try out this one, the video narrative. I want to try out. Let me generate and come up with a study that I could try out this new method.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
whoever's tried it, then we can all have a discussion on it, like a live discussion like this. That would be good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah,
Thank
there are
you
a few.
for your, this is a great discussion. Yeah, I think Prasanna has another question, and Prithvi has said,
Given up.
supported that question. Yeah.
have one last question. What will be your plan if I have to switch my career from UX designer to UX researcher? Okay, that's a good question. I'll tell you what. Few months ago, I was in this situation where I wanted to move from research to more strategic role, UX strategist role. UX strategist role is to basically align at the higher level strategy of the product, and also that person is a bridge from research to design. Like, they are the ones who do really, like, stakeholder alignment, do workshops and all of that. And I felt like when you are transitioning, I realized that when I was transitioning from research to strategy, my strength was that I already understand one role. So I think I would say that if you are in UX design, you are a UX designer and you want to switch to researcher role, you already have an understanding of how designer works. So which is great. But for researcher, the most basic thing is like you should be able to conduct end-to-end studies. So maybe you can start working or shadowing some of the UX researchers that you know, and taking up some small research studies to get up to speed, to learn what they do in their day-to-day life, what are the things the skills that they need. Like interviewing is very important. To be able to write a discussion guide is another one. So, and then coming up with insights is another one. So maybe you can pick up these small skills and slowly transition into that role, and pair up with other researcher. If they're doing, if someone is doing something, you can say, can I shadow you, can I partner with you on this project, I can take up some of the small work, and that's how you learn.